Hello, this is Greg Gouts of Brink coming to you on the 15th of February, 22. Time on deck is 2200 hours Central Standard Time. And we may just be, according to the estimates and projections of some people, 3 hours and 38 minutes at this point from a potential invasion of Ukraine. It is estimated by some that this would happen tomorrow. Now, gosh, I don't think Russia wants to do an invasion on somebody's time schedule, but it just so happens that they tend to launch their invasions at 10 a.m. the local time, which is, again, 3 hours and 38 minutes away. So this could happen. This is as of this recording time. Now, I will update. I will have to compile this and upload it. So it may be much more imminent by the time this is uploaded, and perhaps by the time you see it, we'll know whether it's actually happened or not, because it'll be about 2 a.m. in the morning, my time, when such an event would occur, if it would occur according to the projections of some. Now, mind you, the Russians would use Sun Tzu's Art of War, which says, you don't invade when people don't think you invade. and you want to pull back, make it look like you're not going to do it. If you're far, look like you're near. If you're near, look like you're far. If you're strong, look like you're weak. If you're weak, look like you're strong. It's all about deception. Well, there's been a lot of deception going on, and just some of it has actually been occurring. So what's about to happen? We're going to get all into this. I'm going to talk about it some more. This is an update on the Ukrainian situation. I am Greg Gouts, Green Grades again. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, bang the notification bell, and click all, because this is part of my eyes wide open and head on a swivel series to help you understand what's coming at us, maybe. What may be coming at us, so that you can prepare, get ready, because we're living in very peerless times right now, and they seem to be getting crazier by the moment. Indeed, maybe by the hour and minute right now with all this stuff going on. So buckle up. We're in for a nutty ride this year. This year don't offer to be any better than 2020 from the looks of it, maybe far worse. Along that line, you should be watching my videos where I show you how to get ready about some things. So I mention all these things that you need to be aware of. Share them with your family so they'll know to prep. The more preppers there are, the less people that's going to be knocking on your door looking to eat you. So that's very important. And I also have a tribe network. Check my links below. Go to info@freedomrestorationfoundation.org and email us at tribes. We're just starting this back up. All right. So for survival tribes, mutual assistance groups, we're starting to organize those again. So my friends, like I said, subscribe to my channel. I've got videos on how to eat free from the weeds and trees, which is very important. But you also know you better store up some food, guys. So also check out, especially like right now, this is very important because this may not last and the supply chains may shatter in the near future if all this stuff goes down. Prices are going to go way up. If nothing else, we're going to see crazy inflation and supply chain problems if these things transpire. So go to prepwithgreg.com, because there you're going to find a special with $50 off a 4-week supply of food that lasts 25 years. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 2,000 calories a day, which is 1,200 more than many of the competitors offer if they're 800 calorie a day starvation diet. This is a diet that will sustain you. It will keep you alive. It'll help you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive, which is the motto of my channel, right? So try it out, guys. Prepwithgreg.com, 4-week supply, $50 off, and you get $150 off a 3-week supply. A 3-week supply is 6 of these buckets. One of these buckets is a 2-week supply of food, guys, and it's freeze-dried, so it's easy to carry. It's very portable, easy to stack and store, and you can pop it open and put out the little sealed pouches and throw them in your backpack if you have to bug out. So it's easy to bug out with, easy to store, and because that packet is sealed and because the pouches within it are sealed, you can bury these guys. You can bury them in your caches, which may be important to hide your food and also to have them staged if you think you're going to be bugging out along a certain route. All right, prepwithgreg.com. Check my Patriot Supply logo above, and it will take you into my Patriot Supply website. And whatever you buy there, it still helps my channel. So you will find all kind of prepping supplies there, and nothing less than the absolute broadest and best selection of long-term storage survival food. Okay, enough said, guys. The situation with Ukraine is intense. A lot of you go, oh, Russia would never do it. Well, maybe they won't. But there's a lot of body language and a lot of suggestions that seems to suggest that they would do just that. I mean, my gosh, they've staged 130,000 troops on the border. Oh, Greg, they said they're withdrawing. Oh, yeah, they did say they're withdrawing. But you know what? We're not seeing any evidence of it. What did I say about Sun Tzu? Sun Tzu says, when you're near, look like you're far. When you're far, look like you're near. When you're strong, look like you're weak. When you're weak, look like you're strong. Stuff like that. It's been Sun Tzu from thousands of years ago. The Art of War. I mentioned this book many times. Some other prepper channels are starting to talk about that now, and they've talked about it before too, but I've talked about that for a long time myself. The Art of War is definitely being played here. Whether it's to be a war or not, there is tension. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But at the end, we'll talk about potential solutions, but it may be too late. It may be too late. I mean, Russia's on one hand, yeah, we'll continue talks. We see some glimmer of hope to continue the dialogue, and we're pulling back. Just what you want to say before you stage an invasion. What else might you say? Come up with reasons to actually do the invasion, and that kind of language is coming out of Putin right now. That kind of language is coming out of Putin right now. And if they weren't going to invade, why are they stationing mobile hospitals and blood supplies and lots of fuel? For training exercise, you don't need lots of fuel. You don't need blood supplies, and you don't need all these mobile hospitals, especially blood supplies. Of course, if they're staging a bluff, then yeah, all these things are part of the bluff. Really make them think you're about to move in. But then you don't keep that bluff going and tell them you're pulling back if the intention is to bluff. But Russia never said they were going in. They never said we're going to do this. And of course, like I said, a lot of people are expecting this invasion tomorrow. A lot of people, including the president, and now even President of the United States, Joe Biden, and President Zelensky of Ukraine. He actually just came out and stated that they're coming in tomorrow. And it's in the tradition of Russia to attack during an Olympics game. And it's also in the tradition to them to attack at 10 a.m. in the morning. So, which is now 3 hours and 31 minutes away, according to my clock. So will they do that? Still, I'm kind of thinking they might wait a day or two if they're going to do it. And really make it look like they're pulling back. I mean, in war, you got to have the element of surprise. What do they got? Actually, what they've got is weapon systems majority. I mean, some people say, oh, they got such a bigger force. Actually, Ukraine's got more available personnel. And typically when you conduct an invasion, you need to outnumber the forces you're invading 3 to 1. Actually, Russia may have the troops, but what's on the border of Ukraine versus what the Ukrainians have is not a 3 to 1 advantage, my friends. It's actually, the Ukrainians actually have a little bit more people according to their reserves. Are they trained? Are they the kind of professional forces that's facing them? Yeah, they're starting to train now. A lot of these are brand new recruits. So what's it really say? And what kind of equipment do they have versus what the Russians have? And it all depends on weather and a lot of other circumstances. So everybody almost across the board seems to think Russia will go in and take Ukraine within 72 hours. And so saith our so-called defense experts, including the head of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley, who, Milli Vanilli, I don't have a lot of respect for him, by the way, as you know, may have noted from my other earlier videos. But quite a few people are expecting a blitzkrieg to take Kyiv very fast. But will it? Can it? Yeah, I'm going to throw some counterpoints to that too. It might not go down as they plan. The funny thing about wars is, they have all the attackers and defenders have all their plans set up, but once the war commences, plans go asunder. War has a life of its own, and it often has a lot of surprises. And sometimes, usually, the advantage goes to the defender. Except Ukraine don't have a lot of hills to hide behind. There's flat open plains. That's why people think they can be invaded very fast. But those plains are full of mud. We'll go into that in a minute. After going to highways, right? That might not work so well for them. I'm going to show you that in a second. I'm going to do some sharing here, guys. Hold on your hats. We're going to have a look at these things. We're going to have some look-sees. I didn't want to start there. Let's start here. As said, U.S. hasn't verified Russian pullback of troops near Ukraine. Again, this is in context of Russia just now saying, oh, yeah, we're going to pull them back. We're pulling back. We're reducing forces. And, oh, yeah, we're going to continue negotiations. Wink, 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 wink. Well, if they're going to invade in 3 hours and 28 minutes from now, yeah, they're not going to make it look like they're going to invade if they can help it. But since we're expecting it, well, they really invade in 3 hours and 28 minutes. I don't know, my friends. They got to have the element of surprise somewhat on their side. How can they do that when everyone anticipating it by a certain clock? So, I don't think Russian forces move by our clock. And if it was something they were planning to do, and they're knowing that we've set our timers to it, I don't know. I don't know, but maybe they will. Maybe they will. We'll know shortly. But I wouldn't hold my breath for 3 hours and 27 minutes from now. Putin baselessly claims genocide is happening in areas of Ukraine controlled by Kremlin-backed rebels. Okay, this is the basis right here of a lot of the conflict, but this is also why it's thought that they're really about to go in. He is now making statements to justify an incursion without the use of a false flag, other than maybe his statements of false flag. A lot of people believed he was going to stage a false flag, and maybe he would have if he hadn't been called to task on it. But what he is saying here is that the Ukrainian forces are in violation of the Minsk agreement, which was reached between Ukraine and Russia with the aid of, I think, France, Germany, and Great Britain, maybe some other European nations helped negotiate that treaty, the Minsk agreement, which was signed after the 2014 incursion to try to get some level of peace between Russia and Ukraine. Well, that peace has not been very good. And so what we see here is that Putin is making statements that would justify his invasion. These are the kind of things you say before you go in and you tell your people, see, this is what was happening. These are the same claims that he made to justify his invasion of Ukraine in 2014. These are the same statements he made to justify his invasion of Georgia and other places. They're the same kind of statements that Hitler used to justify his invasion of Poland in 1939, which started World War II. So these are the kind of statements that people, our ethnic brethren over here, just on the other side of the border of this other country, are being attacked. And we know in the case of Hitler and Poland, that just doesn't seem to be true. It's just something he wanted to state and needed to state to make his case to make the invasion that he wanted to make. Okay, I've said that. So I'm not trying to take sides here, guys. I'm trying to just put it out there as what might be going down. And I do believe that people have the right of self-determination. I believe the people in the Donbass area, which is Donetsk and however you pronounce that, the oblast there, starts with the LU, I believe. There's two of them there that are breakaway republics, apparently. And we collectively call that region Donbass in the eastern Ukraine. I believe that people should have a right of self-determination. A lot of people don't see it that way. The Minsk agreement didn't give them full autonomy, but it gave them semi-autonomy. But what's happening is there's still fighting going over there. Apparently, since the 2014 invasion, something on the order of 15,000 Ukrainians have lost their lives over these conflicts, and it continues to this day. Russia here is blaming Ukraine of violating the Minsk agreement, and this is one of the key complaints they've had, is that that Ukraine is violating Minsk agreements by attacking people in the Donbass region. However, it's been counterclaimed that Russian Spetsnaz forces hiding in the Donbass region and making out to be separatists are attacking Ukrainians and even shelling villages in Ukraine and wiping out innocent civilians. So there's claims and counterclaims, and who begot who, and how this feud got started. I'm not going to go into that, because that's because anytime you try to get into that, you're going to see what each side claims, and it's hard to split apart the chaff and the wheat in a situation like that, because there's a lot of claims and counterclaims, and there may be a lot of truth in each of them, but there's also going to be a lot of fluff. And who started, how it started, who's to blame, that's just hard to get down to. What I'd like to see is all the hostility stop and let the, why, Ukraine thinks, well, this is our sovereign territory, it's sovereign territory forever. Kind of, that's how a lot of nations see things. I don't see things that way. I believe people should have a right of self-determination. The people in that region really do not want to be part of Ukraine. Why do you want somebody that don't want to be part of you? Why do you want to hold somebody that wants to spit in your face all the time? Would you want to have your somebody that you hold and hug that's trying to bite your nose and spit in your eyes constantly? Why do you want to hold them? Why do you want to keep them? Why do you want to possess them? If they don't want to be part of you, let them go. Let them go. You'll both be happier in the end. But what we're facing here is a potential ignition point for World War III over Ukraine's obsession with holding Donbass and over Russia's obsession with holding Ukraine. In each case, I think both are wrong. I also think that, Zelensky, President Zelensky, you're never going to get Crimea back. NATO, President Biden, you're never going to get Crimea back. Russia will fight a nuclear war for Crimea. That's their big warm water naval base. They're not going to let it go in any circumstance. Be real. Give it up. And you might as well just give up Eastern Donbass. But Putin, if you go into Ukraine, you've unleashed the dogs of war, and all that it is a war, but all what's going to break loose. And we're going down a rabbit hole then toward World War III and your own annihilation. You think you'll win? Well, nuclear war could be winnable, and you just might with your hypersonic weapons, but it may not go as you plan. You need to understand that. And a lot of people are at risk. Why do you perceive, President Putin, that you deserve and own peoples that don't want you? Why do you, Zelensky, perceive that you deserve and own peoples that don't want to be part of you? See, they each got the same problem. They each got the same problem here, and that's why they're loggerheads. They're hard heads at loggerheads, and the whole world is at risk because of this. Now, NATO, and I don't think it's NATO's place or the United States' place to tell Ukraine to make peace with Russia. But if they don't, hey, Zelensky, if you can't solve this, you won't exist at all. You want to hold this one little region, you want to hold it so bad, you can't give it up, you can't negotiate, and yet you risk your own existence as a nation over that obsession. Wow. Over your obsession for possession of people who don't want to be part of you. You risk your very existence. Of course, maybe Putin would want to just take it all anyway. That may be true. But, for President Putin, I would say the same thing. You also risk your existence and the existence of this world over your obsession for having the Ukraine. But it's not our position. It's not our place as the United States to defend Ukraine. I don't mind seeing people being given defensive weapons to stop an offense against them. If anti-tank missiles, they're not an offensive weapon. Stinger missiles, they're anti-aircraft missiles. That's not an offensive weapon. That's best at stopping an invader coming at you. Donbass is not launching tanks and fighter jets against Ukraine. So those weapons would not be well served to fight the people in Donbass, but it would be well served to stop or slow down or stymie, or at least make Russians pay a price for an invasion they may launch. And by the way, Ukraine has domestic capabilities to produce similar systems themselves. So this is just adding to what they've got. Okay. As you see, I'm not taking sides here. Because there's good and bad on both sides, to be honest. Putin, though, he's a lot of people say he's trying to recreate the Soviet Union. No, I really think he's trying to create the Russian Empire, because he's got Peter the Great hanging on his walls. Peter the Great was a big empire builder of Russia, and that's how Putin sees himself. He goes back before. He's in his mind, he's going back before the USSR, although he definitely has stated that the breakup of the USSR was the greatest tragedy in modern history. What it is in his eyes, in his mind, coming from his Russian perspective. But, what's it really saying? He's saying the worst thing that ever happened in history is we lost control of people that don't want to be part of us. That's what it boils down to. If these people want to be part of you, Vladimir Putin, then welcome them back. Say, okay, join us, vote, have elections and vote to join us if that's what you want to do. Yeah, let's see how that goes. Don't meddle in them. It's just so happens that most of these countries want nothing to do with being in Russia anymore. Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. I met people in these countries and they hate Russia vehemently. Now I've been to Moscow and I love Moscow. So, it's a great city in many ways. There's good and bad people in every nation, in every state, oblast, county, hamlet, city, dale, or whatever. There's good and bad people all over the world. It's the leaders of these people that pit us against each other, that get us in all kind of trouble, be it Putin, Biden, and whoever else is a hide. Zelensky. None of these people are pure. None of them are good. And they've all got their own games, and they play us against each other for their own aggrandizement and empowerment for the most part. So I'm not a great fan of any of them, to be honest. Governments are a problem in my book, and I think that's the problem, because they do this. And the answer is not a one world government, because then you got a one system that's just going to put everybody on earth in this jackboot. That would be even worse. I'd rather deal with what we got now than to deal with a suffocating planetary control regime that nobody could escape. Yeah, nowhere to go to get away from it. That would be the worst nightmare I can imagine. So that's what a lot of people, including Einstein, thought was the solution to this issue of nationalism. I don't buy that. The issue is what we ought to do is have more localized control, less bigger governments. Decompose it down to the lowest level. That's my humble opinion. So a lot of people don't agree with that. That's fine. Debate it. Leave your comments below. But that's not the subject of this video. The subject of this video, though, of course, is what's happening here. So let's look at this. This is, again, a pretext for an invasion. Interesting, he should make this statement today, the day before everybody in the world is thinking he's going to move in. So, but see, the thing is, he really can't wait too long, because why? Russia is turning into mud. And you can see here this video, and I showed this recently, I think. These Russian tanks. Play the sound. But look at this guy's backhoe trying to dig them out. There's 8 Russian tanks here, guys. 8 Russian tanks in the mud in north of Ukraine, I believe this is. So this is Rostov. This is east of Ukraine. So it's just in the southern region down there. So yeah, it's funny thing. Rostov, mistrust of England was asked by the Russians. Oh, do you think that the Russians should not control Rostov? And she's got crossed up, and she said, no, I think they should leave Rostov. And Rostov is actually a Russian oblast. Rostov has always been part of Russia, and it's very Russian. It's within the country of Russia, within the borders. So mistrust really stepped on it there. But all that said, Lavrov, he was the one that asked her that. And she really blew it. All right, so shame on mistrust. She missed that one. Although she's been a pretty hard-nosed woman. I got to give her some credit for that. But yeah, Russian talk stuck in the mud, just like the Russian tanks. So this may be what the Russian tanks are going to face. And it may be facing it already. It may already be too late to cross those borders, because although Russia claims they're all-weather, all-season army, but this mud is treacherous, and you can see what it does to them there. So it may be that they're going to roll on the highways. Yeah, it stands for roll on the highways. Well, highways aren't always so good either for an advancing force, where you put, any good tactician knows that you want all your forces staggered out as much as possible. If you put them all in one pathway, then they're just targets. These are pictures here from the highway of death of the Gulf War, in which our forces went and strafed Baghdad forces that were evacuating Kuwait, because they basically were trying to haul Kuwait away. They stole and ripped off so much stuff, BMWs, and all kind of stuff in this exit caravan trying to get out of Kuwait of Iraqis that had invaded. And American forces strafed them, and you see what's left. It was total, complete carnage. I've seen, they're not showing the grossest photographs here, thankfully. I've seen photographs of burnt bodies, sticking out of the tops of these tanks. It was grotesque. It was a very sad situation to see. Yeah, this is what aircraft can do to tanks. Everything on that road got fried. That was the one place you did not want to be, was in that evacuation force. They were hauling away a lot of stuff in Kuwait, and they got hit and hit hard. Like armored personnel carriers, tanks, big trucks, all kind of big trucks, cars, the whole highway. They just split up. They went out the road on each side as they were being hit. They're just all over the tanks, the heavier things, that's pretty much stayed in the road. So this is what staying in the road buys you. This is why I say, it may not be the cakewalk that, so maybe, aircraft, yeah, Russians has an aircraft superiority. So it would be hard for Ukrainian aircraft to pull off an operation like this. But what they could do, this is where the javelins may come into play. This makes it a lot, if guys are stuck in the mud, then they're setting targets for javelins. If it's to avoid being stuck in the mud and going down the highway, they're also more so targets for whatever ails them. This is why Ukraine might put up a surprise resistance. But Zelensky, if you think all this is going to work, don't bank on it. And if you think the insurgency is going to get you out of all this and in, and Ukraine will rise again, there are those that say it won't work. Now, many of us really thought that was a good answer, because look what happened in Afghanistan. But in Afghanistan, the insurgents hid in the mountains. The mountains you would have to hide in for the Ukrainian forces are Carpathian mountains, which aren't in the middle of no way. It's in Ukraine. So yeah, and the Ukrainians have a hard time. And they're basically resident near the border in NATO nations, and they might not favor insurgents launching attacks from NATO nations into a Soviet-occupied territory. And even if they allowed it, you would have a hard time reaching and making depth penetration into Ukraine. The problem for Ukrainian insurgents is the country's flat. It's flatter than a pancake. Great for growing crops, but not so great for hiding forces, especially insurgents. So this is an article that goes in some depth, talking about why an insurgency wouldn't stand a chance, and why Russia could totally control and dominate Ukraine once they move in, like they did, back during the Great Depression, World War II, in which Ukrainian farmers were starving to death while Russians absconded with all their wheat. No wonder most Ukrainians don't want anything to do with Russia. They've been there before. So I can't blame Russia. You don't have a right to take Ukraine, and Ukrainians, you have a right to defend yourselves. It doesn't mean we have to stick our necks in it, because they're not part of NATO, because you haven't met the guideline requirements to even apply. So that's what we're really fighting over seemingly is Ukraine's right to join NATO. Let me stop this share. Ukraine's right to join NATO, when NATO wouldn't even accept you. But NATO will fight or support you to the point to suppose that you will have the right to apply. All right, and also Russia makes these claims. Russia says, "Oh, well, we just don't want all these missiles," and it talks about missiles. Now, Putin has made some points. He has made some valid points talking about American aggression, because he talks about when America bombed Serbia during the Serbian wars to take out Slobodan Milosevic. Y'all remember that name? Slobodan Milosevic. It was alleged that he was committing genocide against his local Muslim people, and maybe he was. It does look like that. But was it was it our business to go in and bomb Serbia? Well, it really upset the Russians quite a bit, because the Serbians are Slavic, which is brothers, basically ethnic brothers to the Russians. They're both Slavic peoples. But we went in and split that country to pieces, and now there's many different countries there where Yugoslavia once was. Serbia being one of them, and Serbia is not as large as it had been. Now, Serbia, Yugoslavia split a little bit before them, and then really fractured after our forces went there. Was it right? Was it wrong? I'm not going to debate it, but many of us at the time thought it was Clinton trying to up the polls and basically wag the dog. If you remember those, if you remember that discussion, that was what it was all about during that war. A lot of people thought that Clinton went in there just to wag the dog. Clinton authorized that war. So that war and what we've going into Syria and some other things are all things that Vladimir Putin is pointed to talk about American aggression, in terms of recent times. And he says, this is what he's concerned about, but he takes it further to say, his biggest concern is us placing missiles, he claims we are placing short-range ballistic missiles, basically, that could hit Russia. We don't have any short-range ballistic missiles. Well, he talks about our withdrawal from the INF treaty, the treaty that said we wouldn't have those kind of missiles. But it was mainly because we thought that Russia was cheating, and Russia probably was, because Russia devised the Iskander missile, which is a short-range ballistic missile, which they've got in Europe right now, and they put on the border of Ukraine, which is a missile. We don't have anything comparable to that in NATO. There's nothing like that pointing at Russia, but Russia's got the short-range ballistic missiles and the hypersonic missiles, which are even submarine launchable hypersonic missiles. Quite a few things that they can go off our coast easy with. Well, they're submarines. They can't do that to them because they're mostly landlocked. So, yeah, try to get in the Baltic Sea with a great submarine force, or the Barrett Sea. Although we probably could slip a submarine in the Barrett Sea and launch an EMP Poseidon missile, which the rest of ours was sure to follow after that, which is a scenario that almost got us nuked over a failed notification of a Black Brant rocket launch from Norway when Yeltsin was president. Yeah, we almost had a nuclear war when Yeltsin was president of Russia and Clinton, the United States, accidentally. So that was a very close call. Yeltsin's commanders, the head of his military, was telling him to launch. Good thing Yeltsin probably didn't have too many vodkas that night. Wow. Anyway, we came too close too many times. We got to find another way in this world. We're rolling the dice. We're spinning the cylinder on that revolver that's called Russian roulette. So, guys, here's what we're looking at. We're looking at the prospect that we may have a war. It may be starting, I don't know. Some people are saying it's going to start at 10 o'clock local time there, 2 o'clock in the morning our time, which is now 2 hours and 6 minutes away. So is that going to happen? Excuse me, 3 hours and 6 minutes away. Is that going to happen? I hope not. I definitely hope not. But it could. It could. If Russia is going to move so they don't get caught between quagmires and highways, they probably are going to have to move soon. If that's what we want to do. They've staged the blood. They've staged the hospitals. And they've just made their claim, their pretext claim, for why they need to make an invasion. They pulled the Sun Tzu evasive, we're withdrawing forces. And oh yeah, we'll continue the negotiations. Hey, we like you very much. Shake your hand and pow. That's the way you do, Sun Tzu. Hey, we love you so much. Let me pat you on the back and step. That's how you do an invasion. That's Sun Tzu. Oh, we love you so much. Let's be friends. Bang. That is Sun Tzu, my friends. And that deception is the art of war. The art of war is deception. But still, would Russia roll in on the day everybody's anticipating it? They would probably prefer to wait. And then when everybody's goes, where are you at? And just sit back and laugh at you. See, we weren't going to do it. What did you think? You're crazy guys. And the next minute, bam. The next day or the next day. Okay, we're going home now, folks. Goodbye. Bam. If they're going to do it. I said if. So the reason I put that if out there is they may well do it. Why did I say that? Because Putin just laid down the reason for them to do it. They got the blood supplies. They got the fuel supplies. Everything's there. All he's got to do is say go. And he's going to say go before those fields get too mucky and muddy, which is pretty darn soon. And he's had a tradition of doing it during the Olympics. And seems that he wants to launch all his invasions at 10 a.m. Gee, if I was him, I think I'd shoot for 9. Who knows? Maybe they're already rolling. I don't know, my friends. And maybe they'll never roll, but we'll know. We may know soon. I'll tell you what we will know. We will know in a matter of a few hours whether or not the invasion is going to occur on the day that the Biden administration said it would, right? We're going to know that in just a few hours. So some things are going to be determined really soon. Let's hope and pray for everybody involved that this does not happen. We'll hope and pray for the people of Ukraine, for the people of Donbass, even for the people of Russia and the people of the world. There's nothing pretty about a war like this. It's awful. So there was a Russian, excuse me, one of the Ukrainians actually came out and said, "Hey, he started talking about maybe deciding that Russia wouldn't apply to be in NATO." He threw that out there, and boy, he got clobbered by the Ukrainian government for saying that. So it doesn't appear that Ukraine has any intention of doing anything that might take some of the steam out of the situation of the border, which is about to blow. And so Russia is about to hit them. So, yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. The problem is it can escalate. First off, what do we got to worry about? Escalation. Well, even before that, if you start a war like this, it's going to cause supply chain problems. Oh, yeah, well, I don't want that because Russia, Biden said we're going to sanction you like you've never been sanctioned for. We're going to shut down Nord Stream 2. And Putin says, if I take Ukraine, I got control of that other pipeline. I don't need Nord Stream 2. That's the case. He'll be fully control of the pipeline he's currently using, which runs through Ukraine. He won't need Nord Stream 2 at all. So that big puffing, huffing that Biden's making, he don't care about. Sanctions, Russians don't care about. They've already said they've laughed at the sanctions. I think Lavrov said that we Russians don't give a SHI capital tango about sanctions, if you know what I mean. All right, guys. Now you see it. The stage is set. Does the war begin in a matter of hours? Does the war begin exactly 3 hours from now? Yeah, this video uploaded. By the time you see it, it may take an hour or two to get this video uploaded. I don't normally post a video as late as this one's going to go up, but in this case, it's going to be posted. If I can get it processed, and if I don't get spanked by YouTube for trying to get it up, I'm going to post this up as fast as I can tonight, if it will allow me. And let's hope that tanks aren't rolling before I get it up. So at 2 a.m., I'm going to have my eyes open. If I hadn't crashed in my sleep, sitting there at the desk, I'm going to have my eyes open. If the invasion occurs, I'll go live. Maybe not for long, but we'll go live for a little bit. And we'll just talk about it. But, oh yeah, what are we worried about? This occurs, it's going to wreck further supply chain. We'll have a lot more supply chain issues. You can expect cyber attacks, which will also cause supply chain issues, maybe access to money, or even power grid issues. This could escalate because we're putting our forces into other NATO allies there to try to make sure that other shoes won't drop. That hey, if Russia takes Ukraine and it happens so easy, go, why don't we just go ahead and take Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania? Can NATO really defend those countries? A lot of analysts say, no way. although we are treaty bound by Article 5, that if they get attacked, that we have to attack Russia, that we are at war with Russia. Wow. Okay. See, that's where escalation could really get out of hand. Russia may attack just because we're putting all our forces up on into these other countries like Romania, Poland, or maybe they'll just say, okay, you want to play this game? We're putting forces in Venezuela, Nicaragua, and back in Cuba. That's what they said they would do. That's what they suggested. They do that. That's not the Cuban Missile Crisis, guys. What happens next? Of course, you could say from the Russian side, they're already living in their Cuban Missile Crisis. See what I'm saying, guys? See what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. Why did the Russians put missiles in Cuba? We had missiles in Turkey. We had the Jupiter missile. We had Jupiter short-range ballistic missiles in Turkey. We don't have any short-range ballistic missiles in Europe. None. Zero. We have anti-ballistic missiles. We have interceptor missiles. They're not the same kind of missile. All they can do is shoot down some of an opponent's attacking missiles. It's kind of like a TOW or a javelin. They're not offensive weapons whatsoever. All right, guys, there we are. We are in predicament. There may be a war in less than 3 hours now. Maybe by the time I upload this, it might be 2 hours or less. So pray. That's all I can say. Pray. Prep. Pray and prep. Be right with your maker. I mean, for the sake of your family, prep. Prep. If this don't go down, we still got to worry. There's some new saber rattling about Iran. There's been some concerns with North Korea that have been refreshed. And of course, Taiwan. Wow. The world's getting too interesting, my friends. It's getting too interesting. So buckle up. And even if none of that goes down, our supply chain is getting wrecked right now. Our supply chain is so. And food prices are going to go up. Inflation's going up. If all other things rectify themselves, we're still dealing with that big time. Oh yeah, then there's our own loving government who tries to, for our safety and well-being, to totally control our lives. Yeah. All right, my friends, whatever you think, maybe. They love us so much. If you know what I mean by that. All right, my friends, I'm gonna say check out, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, bang that notification button, click off. And check out prepwithgreg.com. It's February. This is the month to order seeds. Go to Tree Leaf Market. Links below. It's a good time to start forming mutual assistance groups, mag groups, survival tribes. You can email me, and I'm about to call my new moderator for this at Greg, info Freedom Restoration Foundation.org, and put tribes in the subject line. And I've got to call Wise Al and get her set up for that. I've just found the resources to do that with. So everyone, thank you for watching. Take care, and Greg out.